Today's news. Journalists on hunger strike face health problems. PACE mission. Azerbaijan lacks political debate. Adnan Hajizad's appeal heard. Parliamentary candidates satisfied with administration of elections. Defendant's side brought to hearing. The hunger strike in support of imprisoned journalist Einullah Fatuliyev is continuing in the Musavat Party headquarters. Journalists Shavaled Chobanoglu, Gan Turali and Elchin Hasanov started the hunger strike on October 20th. Today, as the journalists began to experience health problems, medical assistance was called in. The journalists are continuing the hunger strike. Doctors said that Chobanoglu has very high blood pressure, while Hasanov's is very low. Turali is in fine health. The doctor offered to inject vitamin C or glucose, but all three refused. This solidarity hunger strike has now been going for 2 days. In prison, Fatuliyev has been striking for 3. Einullah Fatuliyev was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison by Garadagh District Court in July. The court charged the journalist with the possession of narcotics in an amount exceeding the limit for personal consumption. The journalist appealed the decision. In 2007, Fatuliyev, editor-in-chief of Realny Azerbaijan and Gundelik Azerbaijan newspapers, was sentenced to 8.5 years in jail for threatening terrorism, amongst other charges. However, the European Court of Human Rights has issued a final ruling for his innocence and has demanded his immediate release. The Azerbaijani government continues to refuse to release him. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, PACE, held a press conference today on the conclusions of their visit to Azerbaijan. PACE has been operating a long-term observation mission on the forthcoming parliamentary elections. Head of mission Paul Will commented favourably on the participation of the opposition parties in the elections, the state of the electoral register, and the increased role of NGOs in the election process. However, our mission did not witness competition of political ideas, platforms and approaches. This situation gets worse with the lack of public debates and TV debates. It would be much more productive to organise debates between parties in order to better inform voters about their choices, said Will. He went on to say, "The restrictions on freedom of assembly are shocking. Pressures placed on parliamentary candidates and the problems with candidate registration are a real source of concern for PACE. All of the candidates from the ruling party have been registered, but more than half of opposition candidates were unable to register. The detention of journalists and bloggers is hindering any attempt to foster proper political discussion. This situation needs to be improved, and soon." Another member of the mission, Polish MP Iwinski, described the election situation as tiring. Mission members also expressed dissatisfaction at the Azerbaijan Popular Front Musavat Coalition's party to have a meeting with them. PACE has only encountered such a refusal once before. In the First Chechenian War, radical Chechenian parliamentarians refused to meet with PACE representatives, said Finnish MP Laakso. In addition, some mission members have faced problems because of Azerbaijan's newly implemented visa restrictions. Travellers can no longer get visas at the airport. We ask the government to ensure that the arrival of the next PACE mission is not obstructed in this way, said Paul Will. The PACE mission arrived in Baku on October 18th and has since met with officials and representatives of political parties, the civil society sector and mass media. Today, the Baku Appeals Court heard imprisoned blogger Adnan Hajizad's appeal for early release. Judge Miriev chaired the hearing. Hajizad, his lawyer Ashurov, state plaintiff Selim Suleimanov, and a representative for prison number 14 attended the hearing. Hajizad is currently being held in prison number 14. His lawyer filed a motion to allow the blogger to sit next to his lawyers during the hearing, instead of remaining in prison. The judge said that the motion will be considered at the next hearing, scheduled for November 15th. Garadagh District Court Judge Rufan Mursalov had already ruled against Hajizad's application for early release. Hajizad has served half of his 2-year term and is thus eligible for early release under Azerbaijani law. Bloggers Emin Milli and Adnan Hajizad were arrested after an incident at the Lebanese restaurant in Livan in July. Although they were victims of physical assault, they were sent to prison under charges of hooliganism and inflicting intentional minor bodily harm.
Möhkəm ol. Eşq olsun. Möhkəm olun.
Today, the Republican Alternative Public Union's parliamentary candidates Ilgar Mammadov, Erkin Gadirli and Natig Jafari, who is not registered, held a press conference in the press centre at the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety. Ilgar Mammadov is running in the Binagadi 2nd Election Constituency number 9, and Erkin Gadirli is running in the Yasamal 2nd Election Constituency number 16. Natig Jafari, nominated as a candidate from Garadag Yasamal Binagadi Election Constituency number 12, was unable to register his candidacy. Candidates Mammadov and Gadirli said that they hadn't faced any problems with registering their candidacy. They said that they were continuing to campaign in the area of their election constituencies without any problems. Both candidates are continuing to meet with voters. They also said that while they were satisfied with administrative aspects of the elections, they were dissatisfied with the general climate of the elections. Mammadov blamed the government for this climate. Jafari said, "There were 5 other candidates from the same constituency as me who were also unable to register. I have filed a lawsuit against this decision, and the court will hear my case tomorrow." Today, the Khazar District Court heard the appeals of Yeni Musavat newspaper employee Elmin Bedalov and Milli Yol newspaper correspondent Anar Aliyev. They were appealing the court's refusal to open a criminal case against Khazar District Police Office. Judge Jehun Gadimov chaired the hearing. Bedalov and his lawyer and the chief of Khazar District Police Office Investigation Department, Intigam Rustamov, attended the hearing. On July 28, journalists Elmin Bedalov and Anar Giriali were subjected to physical assault while they were preparing a report on the luxury estates in Mardakan. The camera belonging to Yeni Musavat newspaper was damaged. The journalists said that when they tried to take photos of a villa said to belong to Zaya Mammadov, they were beaten by guards. The journalists were released after being detained for 3 hours. The photos were deleted and the memory card was broken. The journalists subsequently lodged a complaint with Khazar District Police Department No. 1. On August 2nd, the complaint was transferred to the Investigations Department of the Khazar District Police Office. The court refused to open a lawsuit against the police department. The journalists appealed against this decision on the grounds that their case had not been properly investigated. They also requested an investigation of the July 28th incident. The prosecution claimed that the journalists were not physically assaulted. The defendants argued that it was unacceptable to subject journalists to a physical assault while they were doing their job. The judge scheduled the next hearing for October 22nd.